Hello. Today I'd like to talk about Plato, a disciple of Socrates. In our previous session, we discussed how Plato, having witnessed the trial and death of his mentor Socrates, felt a deep reflection on the limitations and problems of direct democracy in Athenian society. Plato, born into an aristocratic family in Athens, encountered the philosopher Socrates when he was 20 and studied philosophy under him. From Socrates, he learned about self-awareness regarding ignorance and the art of dialectics through Socratic questioning. However, after witnessing the unjust trial that led to the departure of his mentor, Plato left Athens, traveling to various regions, including Egypt, expanding his worldview. Perhaps his journey was an exploration and pursuit of the arch that Socrates had embarked on. After wandering in search of truth for about a decade, Plato returned to his homeland, Athens, and established a school for young people known as the famous Academy. Plato's major work, The Republic, was a compilation of discussions and contemplations on the ideal state with his disciples at the Academy. The work covers not only the philosophy of an ideal state, but also metaphysics, theology, ethics, psychology, education, politics, aesthetics, and more. The Republic begins with a dialogue with Cephalus, initiating a vast intellectual discussion. The conversation doesn't start with reflections on the ideal political system, laws, or truth. Instead, it begins with a discussion on what constitutes a righteous life and what it means to live a life without regret and fear. Plato may have had an unending curiosity and longing for his mentor Socrates, who, without regret or fear, drank hemlock in the face of death. Plato refrains from providing a definitive answer to what constitutes a righteous life, as Socrates lived without regret or fear. And yet, Athenian society remained unchanged, concluding with Socrates' life ending passively due to unjust individuals and an ignorant populace. Plato therefore expands the dialogue into the concept of the just state instead of addressing the question of a righteous life directly. He envisions an ideal state where philosopher kings rule, and the working class supplies the necessary goods for the state, which are collectively owned by the ruling class. The state also requires a military class to defend against external threats, and education for the next generation to preserve traditions and values. Children, from their teenage years, receive education in poetry, physical education, and those selected go on to study mathematics, geometry, and astronomy in their 20s to become the guardian class. Only those who endure the education until the age of 50 become philosopher kings, and all private property is prohibited in this society. Plato explains, "Our aim in founding the state was not the disproportionate happiness of any one class, but the greatest happiness of the whole." Thank you for subscription.